My math teacher was so bad at math, I ended up teaching the whole class. It started my junior year when Mr. Peterson transferred to our school mid-semester. Our previous teacher, Ms. Garcia, had left for maternity leave, and the school scrambled to find a replacement. Mr. Peterson walked in with confidence that first day, dressed in a tweed jacket with elbow patches like he'd stepped out of a movie about prestigious universities. "I'm going to transform how you understand mathematics," he announced, writing his name on the board with a flourish. I should have known something was off when he misspelled calculus in his own introduction. The first week was confusing. He taught us formulas that didn't quite work out, but I figured maybe it was just his teaching style. By week 2, I was spending evenings reteaching myself from the textbook. "Emma, this doesn't make sense," my friend Jada whispered during class one day, pointing at her notes. "When I solve it his way, I get a negative square root for a distance problem." I glanced at her paper. "That's because you can't have a negative distance. He's applying the formula wrong." Mr. Peterson overheard us. "Is there a problem, ladies?" I hesitated but finally raised my hand. "Mr. Peterson, I think there might be a small error in the equation." "Nonsense," he said, adjusting his glasses. "I've been teaching for years." But when he turned back to the board, I noticed him frantically flipping through the textbook. The breaking point came during our unit on probability. Mr. Peterson had written an example that defied the basic rules of statistics. "Sir," I said, unable to contain myself, "probabilities can't add up to more than 1. The class went silent. Mr. Peterson's face flushed red. "Well, in certain advanced applications. Not in this case," I countered, heart pounding. "This is a standard distribution problem." He stared at me, then at the board, then back at me. "Perhaps you'd like to explain it to the class then?" I thought he was being sarcastic, but he stepped aside and handed me the marker. 27 pairs of eyes watched as I walked to the front. Taking a deep breath, I broke down the problem step by step, explaining where the mistake happened. When I finished, Tyler from the back row slow clapped, and others joined in. Mr. Peterson looked simultaneously relieved and humiliated. After class, I expected detention. Instead, he asked me to stay behind. "Emma, I'm going to be honest with you," he said, voice low. "My degree is in English literature. The principal was desperate, and I needed the job." My jaw dropped. "But this is advanced placement calculus. I've been staying one lesson ahead of you all, learning from the textbook each night," he sighed, "and clearly failing." I should have been angry, but instead I felt a strange mix of pity and opportunity. "I could help," I offered. That began our unusual arrangement. Each evening, we'd meet in his classroom where I'd explain the next day's concepts. During class, he'd teach while I quietly corrected any mistakes. For complex topics, he'd casually say, "Emma, would you mind demonstrating this approach?" As if it were planned. The strangest part? Our class's test scores went up, way up. Mr. Peterson was actually a good teacher. He just didn't understand the material himself. When Ms. Garcia returned the following semester, she was impressed by how much we'd learned. Years later, I ran into Mr. Peterson at a coffee shop. He'd gone back to school for a math degree. "You know," he said, stirring his coffee, "you're the reason I decided to learn math properly. That semester taught me more than just equations. It showed me how teaching and learning can happen in unexpected directions." I smiled. Sometimes the best teachers are the ones who understand what it's like not to know the answer.